different than anything that I've ever done before, but I decided every other Wednesday between my haunted series, I would make a different type of video so it's not just haunted and I can mix things up, test out new videos, see what you guys prefer, and we'll just go from there. So this is the first tester video. This was actually brought to my attention because in my last video, which I will have linked on one of these corners somewhere, I mentioned that I'd had a really bad week, like an extremely bad week, like not just regular bad, like real bad. I had someone mention Mercury Retrograde, and that just spiraled me into this giant mystical land of astrology, a place I'd never been before, if I'm completely honest with you, and my mind's blown. So what exactly is Mercury Retrograde? So in the 18th century, it was first seen and it appeared to people as if Mercury kind of like moved backwards in the sky. So instead of continuing on its forward pattern, it just stopped and decided to go backwards. This immediately surrounded the time period in which it happened with a negative vibe because people had no idea what was going on. Science was really different back then, and it just appeared as some really strange, bad phenomenon. And they essentially took everything bad that was happening at the time and immediately blamed it on Mercury. So it happens 4 times a year and lasts for 3 weeks. And as you are watching this, there's currently a Mercury retrograde happening. So let's get into what exactly this means. Mercury is said to rule over communications and expressions. The way that you talk to people, your relationships with people, the way that you just communicate in general, everything to do with social media, computer, your telephone, everything like that. And it's said that when Mercury retrograde happens, all of this is kind of on the fritz. It's said that you will lose important files, things that you've got saved to your computer to save them multiple times. You might have your flight canceled or your flight delayed, or you might forget your passport. Plans can change without warning, traffic is unexplainably terrible. Basically, your whole world just comes crashing down and you argue with everybody. Anger is just everywhere. A lot of people say not to do anything big during this period of time, like don't go buy a house, don't sign any contracts, don't buy a phone, don't get a divorce, don't decide you want to marry somebody. Like anything big and life-altering, or just, I guess buying like an expensive phone's not life-altering for some people, but for me, it sure is. Anyways, moving on. Don't do anything big. Don't spend big amounts of money. Don't make huge life-changing decisions because we tend to act a lot more rashly. So it started on the 12th of August and will end on the 5th of September. So it started in Virgo, and if you guys don't know anything about astrology, Virgos are an anxious bunch. They're extremely picky, they're extremely critical of others, and basically when a retrograde happens, pretty much you can see the sign that it happens in, and that sign's negative vibes are projected onto you. They can overanalyze things, they're not really creative, not really imaginable at times, and so this can basically have you in a big slump. And that is essentially what happens the weeks leading up to this Mercury retrograde, and I can admit I was an anxious freak for a couple of weeks, so I can totally see this being possible. Then it moved into Leo, and let me just tell you, as a Leo, having a bunch of the negative Leo character traits projected against you is not a good thing because we're freaking crazy. Leos are impatient, they are demanding, they're possessive, they're arrogant, they are egotistical. I mean, the list just goes on, unfortunately, and as much as I wish that I could deny half of that, unfortunately, I've got some things to work on in my life. But this will pretty much cause a ton of stupid small arguments about the dumbest things, like, as a Leo, I am a perfectionist, so especially right now, which I can vouch for, I am like nitpicky as hell, and like everything has to be perfect. It is causing so many arguments between me and my husband, it's not even funny. Like everything has to be very particular, and it's to like an extreme, like as if it was not extreme enough, it's like super extreme now. People will tend to say whatever they're feeling with absolutely zero discretion. People will feel the need to push their own agenda regardless of who it could possibly harm, which goes hand in hand with saying whatever you want. And it's basically going to cause a lot of people to just really butt heads. It's also said that during Mercury retrograde, things from your past will resurface. You will have the same problems that you had the last Mercury retrograde, and it will just keep on tumbling until eventually you fizzle it out. People from your past might call you, your ex might call you, your ex-best friend might call you, someone you had a fight with might call you, and pretty much it's just like a disastrous couple of weeks. So that being said, a lot of people in the astrology community actually are really on the fence about this whole entire occurrence. I have to admit that I'm kind of on the same boat with that. Mercury isn't actually going anywhere. It's not going backwards. None of that's actually happening. We're just seeing it that way because Mercury just moves super fast. Like Mercury moves 4 times faster than Earth in its orbit around the sun, and it just so happens 4 times a year we catch it just right to where it looks like it's moving backwards. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It happens all the time, like when you're on the highway, you know, you see a car and when you finally catch up to it, it's not really moving backwards, but like it kind of looks like it. So it's one big optical illusion. However, something obviously is a little bit different in that time period because we are making some sort of change to where it does appear that way. So maybe that alone is creating the strange energy that's making everyone feel so crazy. That's a total possibility, but I think it's something else. So you know when you go and buy a new car and you know you might not have noticed that car on the highway or just on the road a lot, but now that you have it, you're a lot more aware of it and you see it everywhere. All of a sudden, everyone's got this car. You have never heard a song before. All of a sudden it becomes your favorite song. All of a sudden you hear it on every single radio station. You learn a new word that you've never heard before, and now you know what it is. You're a lot more aware, and everybody's saying it. This is a very, very common thing. As humans, we want to make sense of everything, and we actually block out a ton of crap. We are not capable of taking in every single little detail of everything, but when you have something put in front of your face, you know, we take that for what it is and we apply it to everything. So I think what is going on is people who are aware of Mercury retrograde kind of just are more aware of their issues in that period of time than in other periods of time. There is no scientific proof that our issues multiply during Mercury retrograde. Everything pretty much stays the same other than our awareness to it. A lot of people will literally keep themselves in their houses, not do anything with their life, like no decisions whatsoever because they are so scared of it ending negatively, when in reality, we are just focusing on it too much. However, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. So instead of preparing for the worst, the best advice I could give is to learn from all of these things that you're noticing. Is there something going on with the energy that makes us feel this way, or are we just thinking about it a little too much now that we're actually aware of it? I will say I've had some very bizarre occurrences in the past couple of weeks leading up to Mercury retrograde and in Mercury retrograde, so that I do find very, very strange, and I was aware of it before I was aware of Mercury retrograde, so I guess I'll have to see next one to kind of really make a good decision about how I feel about it. But I'm a firm believer that we are in charge of everything. We get to determine how we feel about certain things. We get to determine how we react to things, and I personally think if you feel like you are suffering from these crazy events in Mercury retrograde, it is a great time to kind of really do some self-reflection. Sit down and look at all of your issues and hash them out. Go to those people who you might have been arguing with or not really on good terms with and figure it out. Maybe all these internal battles that you're having, maybe this is a good time to kind of face them and not pretend like they're not there, because that's what majority of us do. As humans, we really want to place the blame on everything. Everything has to be labeled, everything needs to be neat and in its space and explained. And I feel like Mercury retrograde was a good way to explain all the bad things that happen and put the blame on someone other than ourselves, so we didn't necessarily have to deal with the issue. Obviously, things are going to happen that are against our control, and we're going to have bad days. That's just a fact of life. However, it's not good to just sit around and assume that because Mercury retrograde is happening that your whole entire life is just like done for the next 3 weeks, which is what a lot of people do, and I think that's extremely unhealthy. If you do believe in Mercury retrograde and you do think that it's a thing, just take that time to kind of really rethink everything you're doing, reevaluate. Since it is in Leo right now, the positive attributes to Leos are we, and yes, I'm saying we because I'm one of them, but we are very, very driven, we are very passionate, we are very caring, we make plans and we conquer them. So maybe you can take it as downtime to really think about yourself, think about what you're doing. Do you have good relationships with people? Do you have drive in what makes you happy? Are you doing something because you feel like you have to do it? Are you planning enough for the future? Are you setting good goals for yourself? Are you putting your all into things? And I feel like you should make these plans, and then when Mercury comes out of retrograde, it's almost like a slingshot. You get thrown right into the normal world again, and if you've got all these good ideas going in your head, from then on, you can just kind of run forward with them. It's said that it's really good in Mercury retrograde to start old projects that you kind of never finish, because you might find a new creative streak. You might find something else about it that you're passionate about. You might find a different area. And I do find it very strange because I've taken a lot of time, as you guys know, the past couple weeks to really focus on this channel and new creative outlets and new ways to make videos and other things that I really enjoy doing. And I find it so strange because even though it's supposed to be such a negative time, I have been more productive, and I feel like all of my positive Leo attributes are just really shining right now, and I am freaking loving it. Does that mean that I've got some super Leo powers being, just being brought in by Mercury retrograde? I don't know. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. I think it's very possible that there could be something strange going on where it's affecting the energies of people. However, I also highly, highly believe that it could just be a mindset. I personally believe a lot in self-manifestation and really visualizing positivity and visualizing good things for yourself, and I believe 1,000,000% in the law of attraction. I will do a video on that if you guys want, because I'm like so into it. I believe we can determine our own path in life. Every single thing that we do when we get up out of bed during the day is a decision that we make. So are we subconsciously just allowing these negative things to happen because we just assume it's Mercury retrograde and they're gonna happen anyways? Do we have the power in our own mind to think positively and turn it around and turn it into something good? I don't know. You guys need to let me know what you think down below, because this is super interesting to me. Have you guys had a crazy past couple of weeks? I want to know. Like, I genuinely want to know if anyone else has had crazy things happen to them like I've had. And have you been feeling similar to this? I also want to know if you even heard of Mercury retrograde before. Just let me know everything down below. If you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up, and don't forget to check out all of my social media platforms. I am on them constantly. Hit that subscribe button. We are almost to 700. Pass out. Faint. Girl. What? I can't even comment on it anymore. Shook to the core. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!